yourself and know.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Clear sky. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Clear sky. Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, a life destroyed. superhero.
Y'all give me just a second. I'm dropping this link for somebody else real quick. Okay, this is Chase with Ethical Trading. Let's dive into some of the ticker requests that we've got, and then also feel free to throw tickers into the actual stream ticker stocks, whatever you want to refer them to today, but throw them into the chat channel there in YouTube, or tag me in the lounge on Discord. And then also, if there's other questions or topics you want me to cover, that's cool too. Throw them in here. If we can cover them in the session, we will. If not, remind me and I can circle back. I can either put together a response for you in text format, or I can take a look in future videos at making a short rundown for you. But on that note, I'm gonna dive in. See, ISMR. This was one of the ones we just randomly grabbed yesterday, and like I was saying yesterday, you want to watch after that big breakout. Again, didn't know what caused that because I haven't been actively watching the ticker. It was just something that we grabbed last night. But you want to watch for continuation, and so far we rejected at that same resistance level, and I'd watch to see if the gap gets filled or it consolidates and pushes higher. But switching over to Rivian, because Harrison asked about it. Shout out to Harrison, because that dude yet again had a killer freaking day on futures trading. I think he made like 15K on 3 XFAs, so that's all his money. That's good stuff, dude. So Rivian, what we got going on with Rivian? Some of y'all know that I entered additional calls today, which honestly I don't even know where those stand, because I expect them to temporarily go red. Okay, they're about break even. I'm in those longer term calls for June on Rivian because I see we are in a breakout with bullish continuation here. So not only are we breaking out of this smaller term downtrend, you can see here, we're trying to do so with strong volume. So we are in a solid uptrend here. We're holding bullish continuation. Things are looking good. We're trading above the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, which are the only two EMAs, SMAs, MAs, anything I care about. So I monitor those. I like this little thing here. Showed you the 50 and 200. So those are the only two I use, and you can see it works out quite well. So trading above that, typically that's kind of a sign of longer term bullish nature of the given ticker. Trading below those or losing those, and that's a sign of kind of a bearish tendency of the given ticker. So just one of many factors you can keep in mind, but also the reason those are good to watch is because typically they will serve as dynamic support and resistance levels. So if we were trading above it and it bounced, like you can actually see right here, I can't even remember. So blue I think is set as my 50 EMA. Confirm. Okay, cool. I'm not losing my mind. So you can see there we retraced and we bounced off that 50 EMA and moved higher, which also I'm not just looking for EMA by itself, I'm looking for confluence. So bounce off the 50 EMA plus this historical support level I've got marked there at 1465. Yeah. And we moved higher. So right now looking to keep it on with that thing. See what happens. Haunting Matav, throwing my hands up. Welcome. Glad to have y'all in here. And again, not to sound like a broken record of YouTubers or anything, because that's not the intent, but do hit the like and subscribe button if you're finding value out of this stream. That way I know whether or not to keep doing them. So let's see. Let me jump over Rivian. I'll give a more detailed analysis later in text format for it, but I want to keep things moving quickly. Here, I'm gonna turn off extended hours to give me some more space. So what we got going on with NVIDIA? The NVIDIA is looking very similar to what it did yesterday. You can see NVIDIA is holding above the 50 EMA and 200 EMA here. It's consolidating, so this could potentially be a consolidation range that we break out and move higher, or we could potentially consolidate here, show some exhaustion, and break lower. So, I mean, I'm not personally loving that lacking volume for the green day, where it rejected yet again, but also the news that came in today didn't help their situation. And you can see it down here, I think. Yeah. So, China and Jensen over here having some non-stop drama, right? So as of right now, we're into a broader potential head and shoulders range, but also still in bullish continuation in the larger time frames. Like if you look at the weekly here, this is a potential bull flag on the weekly for me. So we'll keep an eye on NVIDIA, see where it goes from here. What else did you give me earlier? Let's see. And we will look at futures here in a minute, because I know Aruka and some others were asking about futures. I know that Hunt was absolutely asking about NQ and GC. I'll show y'all how those moved exactly as we expected last night and all that good stuff. What else we got? Yeah, don't worry about the butterfly setup and all the complicated stuff, dude. Like telling you, focus in on simple support, resistance, basic fundamental patterns and trends without all the complicated stuff, and that will give you like 95% success rate on trades. So I think a lot of people often try to go down a rabbit hole of a lot of complicated technical analysis patterns, indicators, and that's where they end up getting burned. See, start drawing on W, D, and H. 15. I'm already so lost. It's because you're trying to get complicated with it, dude. Like, here, let's do this, because I started messing with this earlier today, and I know I've got, oh, sorry, I know I've got this one mapped out, but I don't have the micro version, if there is one. Let's see. Is there a micro? I really don't know. Micro. That ain't identical to the big one. Let's see. See, it's slightly different. So 2592. They're stupid close. That bothers me that they're slightly different. Nonetheless, okay. This is one that I've never done. I'm gonna turn off the EMA thing because we don't really need it for what I'm gonna show you. So Haunt, clean slate chart, right? Okay, we're gonna do TA just like I showed you we did for anything else. Same thing applies to futures, crypto, stocks, whatever. So we start at the weekly, and we're gonna mark historical, and here, get this out of the way. Historical levels of support and resistance. So over here, you can see on the weekly rejections. This is clearly a level that's been respected multiple times all the way across the board there. Same thing kind of up in here. And like, yeah, I know that it seems weird because I just immediately see this and I know that rejected over here. The more you do this, the faster you get at noticing all the stuff you need to mark without like sitting there and getting all particular. So same thing here. You can see we use that as active support and it was active resistance when it broke down, strong breakdown. Same thing over here, resistance, support, resistance, right? Strong breakdown, key level. So we can even, if we want to, we can mark further down, right? All the way down here, but I'm just gonna mark some of these key big ones because ultimately what matters to me is the immediate trading range we're in. So I'm not so worried about like way down here because you can see this was back in 2024 and then we tapped it in 2025, but then we moved higher. So I'm also going to go ahead and just mark this right here, and I'll show you why this lines up on the daily here in a second, right? So I threw some support and resistance levels down the weekly. So we drill into the daily now. And when you look at the daily, you'll see that a lot of those levels that we marked from the weekly were respected here on the daily as well. So that, you can see the rejections right here. You can see the bounces of support right here. And this is why you work your way down, because then I can go right here on the daily. That was a respected resistance. You can see it here as well. Here as well. Strong breakout and move higher. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one up here but I'm going to make it a minor dashed one for now, just because, I mean, I could probably make that a major. I can pretty much tell you it's going to probably be a key resistance level that turns out to be a major soon, but just for the sake of kind of cleanliness and following my way of TA, I'm going to leave that as a dash for now. And then once I see historically that it starts to be like respected 4, 5, 6 multiple times, then I will change that to be a solid one. But what we have right here, we go ahead and we kind of mark in here, you'll notice that support and resistance levels end up being kind of respected as, let's say, resistance overhead. Once you break through resistance, like right here, resistance, 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 right? Over here, resistance turns to support. So historically, that is kind of the point of doing this, because now I can look at the chart from true historical levels, not VS fib levels, which I could put a fib on here. A lot of people know that I don't like fib because you're basically going to force fit the fib to whatever you feel like it might be for the given time frame anyways. So to me, the tool is not really worthwhile. I would rather map my historical levels like this, which I'll show you some examples of why it's accurate, and then many of y'all have seen it previously, but you mark your support and resistance levels like this, how many you want. I mean, don't try to overdo it, right? Like, you want to know some key levels. If you got a wider range, you can see this was a support level. It was a support right in here too. So I've got those marked up because, I mean, this is basically the trading range for the last 2 months, right? So even if we're higher, no man's land, and I'll show you kind of what can I use to figure out like how high could we go here. One other consideration just to kind of keep in mind is psychological levels. So in the case of this 2600 round number psychological level, right? So you can see that we rejected there twice. IWM, aka the ETF or Russell 2000 index, has been getting some bullish momentum the last week or so because sector rotation into small cap, mid cap stuff away from big tech. So that's where some of that's coming into play. But Hunt was what I put there so far with daily, weekly trend lines. I'm sorry, just support and resistance so far. Does that part make sense? Because if so, then I'll go a little bit deeper. But I want to make sure that, you know, we're all good from a higher level before we even go the next steps down. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. I'm going to proceed anyways, because you might be driving or something. I don't know. But if I switch down to the 4 hour here from the daily, right? The whole point of even going down and putting additional levels, like we saw going from weekly to daily, a lot of the levels were respected at the daily that we drew on the weekly. Okay, Hunt's getting it now. We're getting there. All right, cool. But 4 hour, you can see kind of there's some other key levels that were respected here in this intraday range as well. Let me see if it's very visible here. Like right here, you can see we rejected, and that was kind of a resistance level there from the daily where we closed. We bounced off that level again. We rejected off that level, rejected there. Same thing here, that level in between. You can see how it was respected multiple times. So now I bet when I look over at my 4 hour, looky there. That just happens to also be the level that we respected multiple times across the thing there. So what you can do after you break down from like your weekly, daily, and all that, futures I might do a little bit different than what I'm about to say. But typically with tickers, I don't worry about overnight levels. Like, I'm focused on whatever the moves were in the trading range during the day, because you have gaps on normal stocks, and you can have them on futures too. But typically with futures, you're only going to really have them over the weekends, or you're going to have them for the session gap between 4 p.m. Central Time and 5 p.m. Central Time. So what you can do though is you can come back in here and you can tweak and adjust your support and resistance levels to where they're refined a little bit based off the smaller time frame. These minor ones, like I'm tweaking it right there, because you can see, look, rejects and respects right there, treats a support right there, respects and rejects right there. Same thing over here, rejects. I would almost consider that one actually a major support and resistance level that's forming there, but I'm gonna leave it as it is for now, just to be safe. So honestly, you could drill down to the 15 minute from here. You don't have to. like the only real reason that you would want to do that is if you're going to be scalping heavily intraday. For most people, scalping is going to burn them more than it's going to help them. But what I started doing lately is this one additional step that I didn't do yet. So prior day close, I'm marking green, or I'm sorry, prior day high, I'm marking green. Prior day close, or I'm sorry, low, marking red. All right, you'll see why. So right here I've got, and I can drag these over if I want, so that it makes sense where it's actually connected. It's not just floating in space, but basically I can look at this now and I can say, okay, I know where this critical level is, kind of overhead right there, but I can also kind of take an additional step here and put in some support and resistance levels that are in between the spaces. If I'm trading in a range and I want some tighter levels to choose to either check for confirmations of breakouts or breakdowns, or check for something to see, you know, is it a level that's going to be respected or not. What I started doing lately is I've been using, instead of the dashed, which is like what I treat as my minor support and resistance levels, I've been using a dotted level for a true intraday level that I'm scalping based on. So I might put it in there during the day while I'm trading and just see if it's respected or not, see if it's something I want to trade based on. One thing I would do here, see how I drew it right there initially. One thing I would do is probably get more conservative with whatever you draw. And I say that because if I move it up to this point, you can see that there's a lot more touch points that are going on right here. Reason why that matters is for whatever reason I saw a trend break down. You want to know what the closest kind of key level that could be a bounce point would be, so that you can choose to take profit as you're approaching that level. Same thing for overhead resistance. I'm looking over here, I know that this is kind of a key level, right? But if I look right here, I can see this was also kind of a key level that got respected over time. You can see right there as well, a bit in there, right there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to make that one a minor resistance overhead. So I mean, look, it sounds like we just drew a ton of lines, but in reality, when you're looking right here, there's like 5 lines on the screen for the given trading range, right? So, I mean, that right there alone gives you a lot of things to trade within the given day if you were trading this ticker. And this applies whether it's stocks, futures, crypto, whatever. Higher time frame stuff is what really matters, so you're wanting to look for confluence. He's adjusting them for lower time frame, whereas the price rejected close enough to it. Yeah, I like it. So why does that matter? So the reason I draw these, and I'm going to jump over to NQ to show what I'm going to show. I'm going to jump over to the exact NQ contract that actually makes sense. So today, when there was a bunch of people over on the top step lobby screaming, you know, NQ going to 2600 plus because all the bullish momentum in the morning, I actually shorted on the rejection up here. I didn't stay in it for the full duration. I took profit and locked out. But crazy enough, I actually had all of these measured move targets drawn before any of this movement took place. I was kind of surprised to see how perfectly that did play out, to be honest with you, but let me explain why I saw what I saw. So not only were we rejecting up here on the 15-minute and 1 hour, on the 1 hour we printed a potential reversal candle, and I mentioned it in the chat when we were still like this, probably about this far into this candle. But what I saw was big bullish candle, tapering volume going to the downside right here on the buyer momentum, as well as basically you've got a spinning top going on here. Or dragonfly, sorry, going blank on my Japanese candle patterns here, but either way, 3-way reversal candle setup going on right here, and that's exactly what happened. But it wasn't just those alone. What I'm explaining right now, while this is NQ and I'm explaining it for futures, this is just as applicable for any other stock or anything you're trading as well. So hang in with me if you're not a futures trader. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this trend line because it's bothering me that it's not like touching that. And yes, I could use a ray, but I don't want it to go up all the way across. So what I saw though was the break of that confluence. Confluence, for those that are new, means multiple things taking place at the same time. So I've got confluence of a trend break for the intraday trend combined with tapering volume, which is showing me buyer exhaustion, combined with a rejection at that 25979 level on the 5-minute, 15-minute, and 1 hour candles. And also, once we rejected, we saw more close, and we also saw seller volume picked up, right? So scroll down to the 5 minute here, you can see sellers showed up. Sellers kind of backed off a little bit. We started to act like we were going to bounce right here and hold that support. I thought that we were lacking volume and liquidity. So when I saw it move up to right here, we printed a reversal pattern right here on the 5 minute, these 3 candles. So I was like, okay, we're going to retrace back up. How did I know that this was going to push above this structure and touch that resistance level? Because I drew the support and resistance levels the same exact way on all my stuff as what I showed you a minute ago on Russell. So historical levels matter. A lot of people were hyper focused on 26,000 today for NQ. Guess what? We didn't touch it. The high we got for the day was 25,996. So if you were sitting in a trade long, waiting on 26,000, like 2 or 3 guys that sold over on the top step discord, they sat there and waited in those longs and ended up either, I don't know, stop profiting out. Who knows? But that's kind of the thing. Yeah, Hunt, the tapering volume, man. So that's kind of a divergence aspect that you can see. And I wish I had the little chart here quick to grab. I don't have it. It's in the Discord, but basically it shows price action moving up. So in this instance, price action moving up. If volume is moving up with it, that shows you buyers are firmly in control. Well, if price action is moving up but volume is moving down, that means that buyer exhaustion is starting to occur. So that doesn't guarantee a reversal on its own, because it could taper down and then buyers could show back up. I wonder if there's a good example of that. Let's see. Yeah, right here. So we tapered down. Buyer exhaustion occurred. We consolidated a little bit right there when volume tapered off. Buyers showed back up and pushed higher, right? And then buyers kind of let off. The buyers showed back up here and we pushed higher. So over here, though, whenever we rejected and broke down, why did I short? Because confluence. There wasn't just volume dissipation occurring. It was volume was falling off on the buyers. We were rejecting. We were showing reversal on the 1 hour. So the more points of confluence that you have, the stronger conviction and overall higher confidence you can have within a given trade. So trading's not about being right 100% of the time. It's more about focusing on what is the way that I can optimize to get the highest probability and rate of success on the trades I do choose to take. So that trade setup right there was a great one to take. I think I shorted a couple more times after that, but man, once we saw that rejection there and I saw the 15-minute reversal, that told me that until something changed otherwise on the 15-minute and the 1 hour, then we were probably going to keep moving down. So all I did when I drew these initial red arrows for price action movement targets down, because I drew all that before any of this took place. There was a screenshot out there that I even dropped beforehand. Goes back to how I drew the support and resistance levels. Historically, your support levels are going to be demand zones, and resistance levels overhead, that's going to be supply zones that formed. So that's where seller presence is with supply zones. Demand zones are where buyer presence is. So what we did was we broke down, we'd bounce off one, we'd consolidate in the range, and then we'd break down further, bounce off one, consolidate in the range, break down further. I mean, that the prevailing trend second half of the day was a downtrend, and it was super clear. So normally within that, you'll form like bear flags, and then either a bear flag will get invalidated or it breaks down to the downside and you have continuation occur, which is what we saw today. So NQ as of right now, though, like if I'm kind of taking a step back here, I'm not super stressed, right? Because like if we're looking at from a larger time frame standpoint, and sorry, I know that is super funky. I don't want to delete them just yet, because actually here I'm going to delete them because I don't want to skew. As beautiful it was, as an example, I think I have a screenshot, so it's fine. Clear this stuff out of the way. If we look at the daily, we still broke out of this. Now, one thing that I told y'all in the previous stream, I'm going to remove these so that they're not in the way, was in order for us to have a true change of trend direction here and breakout, we need to see a close above this previous lower high. So we pushed above it, but we failed to hold above it. So we haven't really formed a true full-blown reversal here. That being said, we're okay, because right now what you have is a breakout of this pennant, And just for context, the right way to do the measured move of this thing, the right way is base to high, but y'all know I like to be conservative, so I'm gonna do it like right in here. Boom. That's the measured move, right? So I'm even gonna be more conservative and pull this thing back like 2,000. But just so we're all clear, that is what is there. Now, I'm completely unbiased in my trading, so I'm totally going to acknowledge that that could be a failed breakout. We could drop and pull back. There is a head and shoulders in play there as well. This is also technically, yeah, it has potential to be a rising wedge. So, as of right now, we have to wait and see. Is kind of where we're at. We have to see what's going on. We have to see, are we going to hold above this previous level and push higher? Or are we going to confirm a rejection and move lower? I know the futures opens here in 4 minutes, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I know Fed is low-key up there listening in to the session to know whether he should go long or short, because last night the dude followed a silver long call that I mentioned, and I regret mentioning because of how that played out. But I'm scared if I say one direction or the other on anything right now, that the dude is going to trade based on it. But last night I entered that long and that happened. We moved over $1. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But NQ, yeah, just hang in there. Watch the top weighted tech tickers. Watch also to see if NQ forms a reversal here and breaks down lower. I didn't check to see what QQQ and SPY did in after hours today, and honestly it doesn't matter too much, but let's see. Yeah, I don't use RSI a lot, and the reason why, like, I'll look at RSI for some divergence every now and then, but I think people misuse RSI a lot because they use it as like, oh, this is oversold or overbought, and in reality, RSI is simply a sentiment indicator. So if RSI is above 70 and it's overbought, well, on many stocks, especially highly volatile things, you can remain in overbought territory for months at a time. So it's simply a sentiment indication. Same thing for oversold. You can have something that is below 30 RSI and it can stay there for a long period of time. So RSI by itself is not something I typically use, but what I do with RSI, if I do use it, is I look for divergence where, similar to what I mentioned on volume, if price is moving up and forming higher highs, but RSI is forming a lower high, that's divergence that's starting to show. So same thing if you see, RSI is forming higher highs, but then the price action is forming higher lows, that's divergence. And that can tell you that a potential shift in the trend direction is coming into play. So let's see, make sure, because I'm going to wrap it up here in just a second. Cody wants me to cover silver. I knew y'all wanted me to cover silver. Everybody wants silver, even though none of y'all have any business messing with silver right now. Silver is in a longer time frame, like bullish continuation pattern right now, though. Like, yeah, people freaked out on the pullback, but retracements are a healthy part of movement. So, you know what? Here, market opens in 1 minute. I'm not going to say one way or another, but let's watch how some of this stuff moves after we open. And I'm not going to say whether or not I take a trade over here on this other screen. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You'll never know. Maybe I do accidentally slip up and say something again like I did last night. We all know Fed's going to be listening for it, so let's see. Sorry, changing my coffee trader real quick. So bear with me. The silver. Not bad. You weren't in the trade with me. You just happened to take the same exact trade at the same exact time, dude. So, sorry. Let me jump back over to the screen so we're actually looking at the same thing. So, silver looks like it's going to make this first little move up after open. I mean, like I warned y'all last night, so between 5 p.m. Central Time and 6 p.m., actually 5 to 7 Central Time, that's kind of your most wacky trading session because that is where you don't have market overlap. Cody asked, when do you recommend starting copy trading? So, I mean, from my standpoint, I don't. Let me figure out how to phrase this the way I phrased it in the chat earlier today. Copy trading can be great, but if you mess up or if you burn an account or you do something bad, you feel that on all accounts, right? So if you blow one account, you blew them all. That's sort of the drawback that comes to copy trading. So, hey Cam, I'm glad you got to listen in, dude. And they're always out there after we do them. Like if y'all want to listen to the recording or anything like that, it's there. But yeah, copy trading, I mean, I do it on some accounts, especially if it's maybe accounts that I'm just wanting to pass them all consistently and keep them aligned. I'm really honestly what I'm doing right now, and some guys over on the Discord know, I did a clean slate on my top step accounts because I was trading 5 different accounts with 5 different types of scaling and volume and size, and 2 contracts on this one, 6 on that, different buffer amounts on different accounts, and that was getting to be really hard to manage, and I couldn't copy trade or even trade similar if I wanted because different accounts, different buffer, right? So I burned myself more than once the last few months by accidentally taking a trade too large for an account by not switching the account, or I was trading maybe micros on an account minis on a larger account, like for instance silver on SI, and I flipped over to the account to trade the other, and I forgot to change the ticker because I might have been in a meeting or doing something else at the same time, and took 2-3 minis on one account, and all of a sudden you take $1,000 plus hit on a new account and it hurts. So trying to clean slate my futures accounts a little bit to make it to where I'm back to trading everything the same size. It's been a long time since I've been able to do that because, like I said, I've been juggling and rotating accounts so much the last 6 months, and some of y'all know why, but we're going to kind of go at it and see what happens. But jump in this one trade and see what occurs. I'm probably going to get burned, but maybe it works out like last night. We never know. I doubt it, but maybe it's good luck being on the stream with y'all. I don't like it already. Volume sucks. I feel like there's going to be just a massive dollar drop all of a sudden on silver, so I don't like it at all right now. I'm going to set my take profit here in a second, just bail. My stop loss is already there. It's probably about to get tagged. Let's see. Yeah, this is why I don't like trading this session. Last night was kind of like a misnomer. I'm glad you don't feel good getting in a trade right now, Cody. Honestly, it's a crapshoot, dude. I threw it in there as a small trade on these accounts just to see what happens. I'm fine with it. And I totally understand and assume the risk of the fact that my stop loss can get tagged here in a second. These accounts can be toast. So I entered knowing good and well that could be the case. Let me jump back over to my screen so y'all can. We're looking the same thing. Let me show you kind of what I would look for here. Again, confirmation wise, I would want to see movement supported by volume, and right now we don't have sufficient volume in general in this session. This is a wacky session, but I'd be looking for a break of kind of this thing we got going on here, this consolidation range where things are getting tighter. So breakout, strong volume to the upside, and we could see a really strong push probably up in this resistance range. Oh crap, is this gonna happen again? Could it? Maybe. No. I don't like it. I still don't like it. Smart trader me wants to set this stop loss and just close out the trade while this thing is kinda green a little bit. It's either that or I take a $500 loss on these newer accounts, which I'm not a big fan of. Yeah, I don't like it, guys. Somebody go make a big rocket ship candle happen on silver. Here, hold on. Let's see if I can do something. See what occurs as a result of it. Okay? If you know, you know. So, like, if anything happens on silver right now, I know nothing. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify that. Watch this. What's our handy dandy tool over here say? Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. You aren't ready to see that one just yet. Almost gave you a sneak peek for something you're not supposed to see yet. Yeah, it's going to reject. I don't like it. Just a second. Yeah, even the indicator's leaning towards short, which it's weak. It's showing right now, but it's leaning towards short right now. Oh, it's showing long. I gotta change the dang configuration settings. Here, let's do this real quick. This will be a good how-to for the people that are using this indicator script. So what do you do to make it like easier to use and see on your screen? So first thing, go over here to your input on status line, remove it. I'll change it to tiny to make it to where it all fits on the screen better. And then I also am going to come in here. I'm going to go to table status. I'm going to turn that off because we know the table is on. There's no reason for that. Remember, it's in pilot phase still, so there's extra debugging stuff I've got built into here. Enabled is just showing you how many things are there, so removing that. I'm going to remove go count because I don't need that to see. Let's see. Long short ratio, you can keep that if you want. Final go, that you need that. Bias, I mean, you can leave it or you cannot leave it, that's up to you. But volume, I'm leaving. Progress, I'm definitely leaving. So that's kind of some of the stuff you can do to clean it up a little bit. And then when you get it the way you want it, you can come in here and save as default. Right now, do that. Pretty sure I got stopped out of that trade already. No, but about to. But yeah, it looks like the indicators lean towards short on 5-minute and 15-minute as of right now, which makes total sense. And we're in kind of a consolidation range, and I don't like the volume anyways. It's not lagging. Like it's updating real time. The indicator does. So like even if it's if it's showing like a really weak signal, and you're right at a pivotal point for long or short, you'll actually see the table flipping back and forth between long and short as it's making a decision. And you can actually from there also look at whether or not the volume confirmation is showing is true, whether retest of the key levels is showing are true, and final go is true, which this one's saying final go, let's go short. Even then, I'm not chill with, like I know I'm in that trade, but if I wasn't just randomly taking a random trade like Fed does right here in open, then I wouldn't probably be taking a trade here. And this thing kind of captures, it's not to be like a trade for you type thing. It's meant to be a visual representation of some of the types of things that I typically would check. Plus, I took VWAP, which I personally don't usually use a whole lot, and I integrate it within this script because I knew some of the guys over on the server were using it. So I wanted to make sure that it was there and available. But this thing has been surprisingly like scary accurate to the last couple of days. So like short right here, what it basically does, and sorry for those that don't have the script, it's for lifetime people. But basically what it does is it defines the signals. It shows you the parameters and the strength of the signal, but then also it actually draws target levels. You can see the blue one here, here, and here. That's the target levels based off of the signal that it has here. So it's actually targeting to make that move. And when it tags the given level, yeah, Tony's all hyped. Tony used to actually sit in on all the original TA sessions I used to do like a year ago. But basically what it does is once the target level gets hit, it'll show a check mark right there that from the optimal zone of entry, I hit my target level. But also over here, let's say if we entered late in the continuation range for the pattern, it will flag and show checkbox for that. So kind of a handy tool. I don't use any of my scripts. Yeah, I got freaking stopped out, I'm sure, of that trade. Yep, $500 loss. That's why you don't take random trades at open, guys. But yeah, like so it's any scripts I use because a lot of people know and have been using this one for a long time. My buy sell indicator script I've got out here, but I don't use any of my scripts as like pure signals on their own. Yeah, Fed, dude, I'm gonna fry you because I fried you this morning, called you a slacker, and then you made 15 grand a day. So you should be asking me to fry you, homie. That way we can go ahead and turn that into 30K. But jokes aside, Fed knows I love him. So yeah, just kind of walked y'all through these scripts that are out there. Again, I don't use them as a independent thing. What I use those for is similar to what I saw in NQ earlier today. I saw all those things I walked through earlier that I've already deleted about the trend break, the rejection, the reversal in the 1 hour, all those patterns. And then also to kind of cherry on top of the situation, there was a short signal that was strong over here printed on the script. So additional confirmation point to go short. It worked out beautifully. So, all right, let's see. I'm going to wrap up here in just a second. Harrison said we need 30. Y'all sharing funds over there at this point? A bunch of these dudes over here are friends in real life and brothers in real life, so that's the really funny part about the situation. Oh, yeah, so Haunt, if it's showing, like, I realize now what you're saying about the lagging. If it's showing for you, and that's why I changed and added some of the functionality into the script, to where if it's already cleared the optimal or continuation zone after like throwing the signal within it, it actually will tell you that that's the case. And that's also why I went ahead and put in the functionality too, to tell us once we have tagged a given level. So see, this is why I don't like trading silver right off the open. Got freaking closed out of my long, and then here we are again, and I'd be green. But this is why I don't like trading it right off the open. Trying to see if there's any time frames that this thing is already in continuation for, because I think I have it set to reset the daily sessions. Yeah, none of them are going to show. That's fine though. Alright, any other tickers I want to see? If there are, I'll cover them real quick. If not, I'll do Walmart. Alright, here, let me do Walmart real quick. So Walmart, some of y'all know I was in swing calls on Walmart, and those things were up around 100% earlier today. They fell back some. I mean, I saw Tony went long on it, and like there is bullish stance here. I went ahead and trimmed and covered my cost basis plus net profit on my Walmart calls, my current ones, just because I saw risk of potential reversal occurring. And also I was up enough to have net profit of over 100%. So did the smart thing and trimmed off some of that. But what we have here is we've got a rejection and kind of sell off here with strong volume. There is a potential bull flag here. I think it's what Tony kind of noted as well. Let me draw it so y'all can see it. I mean, technically we could draw it that way, but I'm super conservative on this kind of thing, and y'all know that. So measurement to the breakout, and sorry, I drew that way too short. Let me stick this right here for a second. Flagpole. Okay. If we lose more than 50% of the flagpole, the likelihood of this bull flag playing out goes down significantly. So that's something to keep in mind. So measurement of bull flag is the height of your flagpole. So in this instance, it'd be something like that. Again, I'm conservative, so I'm going to pick a psychological level and pull this thing back some. Then kind of gauge it from there. This could also be a bullish pennant. Is what this could end up being. But you do this, and if that was the case, I'd be moving this measurement. Comes off the breakout of that bullish pennant. So let's go super conservative and leave both and see what happens. Let's see. So gaps. He says there's a gap on 102. Yeah, that one. Okay, good example. So gaps. The only gaps I care about is on the daily, like this one. We're on the daily candles. Gap, for those that are still learning, is price closed this price yesterday and gapped up, thus the gap. Zoom way in on it so it's super visible. And gapped up and opened there. And I mark my gaps with dotted purple so I know it's an open gap. That way I can see it, because historically gaps like to get filled. So that's something to keep in mind. As it comes back, if the gap does get filled with the pullback here, then I fill the gap in by going solid purple, right? So, I mean, that's kind of all there is to gaps. Gaps can be overhead, gaps can be below, depending on what, like when the gap occurred. It doesn't look like there was any recent gaps to the upside on Walmart, but let me look at something real quick on this. I thought I saw it, but I don't love the shape. There's sort of a potential head and shoulders there, but not really. I don't like, if a neckline is this far down on the right side, I'm not marking that as a head and shoulders. But if we were to break down from, say, this structure was lost, and we lost like this key previous resistance level that hopefully turns to a support, if we lost that, your movement that we could probably expect from that is going to be something like this. So we're going to break that support actually here. If you lose that support level, you can expect these types of things to occur as you go down. But when we break this one, I would be looking for that gap fill to watch to see if there's a potential bounce there, or if it moves down and tests that next support right under it. I mean, it's such a tight, it's like $1, a little bit over $1 range there, so it probably will move down to that support either way if it does break down. But that's what I look at for gap standpoint, because gaps tend to get filled. I forget what ticker we were looking at last night where we did have that in play. So look real quick. Any other tickers? Did I cover everybody's that y'all had? Let me look. Sorry, I'm checking 4 different Discord channels right now. Let's see. Mark was asking about, oh my god, what in the complicated nonsense is being discussed over? See, this is that mess I'm talking about, though. For those that are still listening, like, there's no point to talk about or to think about or to even venture down the rabbit hole of super complicated approach to risk to reward, because all it does is puts extra crap in your head that's going to cause you to question, to be uncertain, to doubt things that you're trading. Like, leave things simple. Master simplicity for weeks or months at a time, and then consider potentially getting complicated with topics. Don't get complicated with every single topic immediately. Like, I know some people feel like that's the default way to operate. They're going to struggle. They'll continue to struggle. I say that because I've been there. And it wasn't until I kind of pumped the brakes and I switched up to looking at stuff from a super simplistic approach, but also like helping so many people over the last 6+ years with trading approaches. I've learned as well, like a faster scale, like what works and doesn't work. And simplicity works. And I can tell you that most of the people that struggle with consistency, that struggle with emotional trading and frustration, it's almost always a result of over trading, over complicating, too many indicators, thus overcomplicating in a whole different way, taking a simple topic and trying to make it complicated and argue and dispute it. Like, those types of things are not helping you, and they're not helping other people that are around you in the trading circle. So try to focus on simplicity first and grow and improve from there. And I say that with like true good intent. Like, it's not a knock. Like, I want to see everybody succeed in this, and I feel like that is really one of the key reasons why a lot of people struggle. And I say that because I've seen it so many times. What's RTY doing in after hours? Yeah, I like that IWM short overnight, not gonna lie. I don't really trade oil a whole lot, but alright, on that note, I'm gonna wrap up. If y'all got any other tickers, topics, anything you do want me to cover in future sessions, holler at me, let me know. I mean, if you're not already in the Ethical Trading Discord, I know I sent this out to several. I'm on several communities. I'm a big fan of learning from multiple different places, so Not one of those people that's like only be in the ET Discord, no others or anything. Harrison, what's your question, dude? If you ask one of these questions, it like jeopardizes me for the way I'm doing futures with certain brokers again, dude. Sorry, Harrison's typing out his question, but he stopped typing, so I'm wondering if he was indeed going to ask another one of these questions. He didn't ask the question yet. I think I scared him off. Yeah, Mark, pulling that RSI and MACD off your chart. I see it. I'm not saying they're not valuable, but what I find is more often than not, it just simply adds confusion for people. So, also that volume profile thing you got going on over there on the right side of your screen, very complex and kind of muddy. Whereas if you're looking at that, you can't see the taper up and taper down like I was showing earlier on my chart. Trying to give Harrison a second types question. Harrison said, let me change my question. I'll ask you off stream. Okay, so Harrison was going to ask one of those things that's not to be asked on publicly recorded stream. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll hang out with family for a little bit. If anyone needs anything, holler at me. Always happy to help. Have a great evening and good luck if you're trading futures overnight. Thanks all.